So, Oliver, what are we doing here today?
I believe we're looking at the highest speed of cars.
But we could go on for years. I mean, there's lots of cars in the world and none of them can go over 70 on the motorways. So why are we doing this?
Because we can. Come on. It's our job today to find out the history of the land speed record and how they have improved throughout the years. Before cars were properly around, the highest speed was actually 35 miles per hour on horses.
It was a Frenchman who started the whole thing off in 1898 when he drove his car at almost 40 miles an hour in Paris just because he could.
Between that time and the First World War, there were 22 new speed records, mostly gained by German and French drivers. This frenzy finished in 1914 with a British driver raising the record to 124 miles per hour.
One of the big names in land speed records was, of course, Sir Malcolm Campbell and his Bluebird cars, who in the 20s and 30s pushed the record to over 300 miles per hour. With a few people trying in between, just before the start of the Second World War, another British driver, John Cobb, pushed the record to 392 miles per hour.
Confusion reigned about how a car should be driven and how many wheels it should have, but it was Malcolm Campbell's son, Donald Campbell, who is generally credited with pushing the record through 400 miles per hour in 1964.
By this time, the French and the Germans had dropped out of the record-breaking runs, which just left the British and the Americans to fight it out.
For the next 10 years, two Americans broke the records. Between them, Arthur Fons and Craig Breedlove raised the record to over 600 miles per hour.
Things slowed during the early 1970s, but in 1977, businessman Richard Noble built the Thrust 1, which he unfortunately crashed in testing. However, its replacement Thrust 2 went on to push the record to 633 miles per hour in 1983.
In 1997, Andy Green smashed a sound barrier and pushed the record up to 763 miles per hour. His car, Thrust SSC supersonic car, stands alone in its class of land speed vehicles to this day. But what is the next target for the land speed record?
And what of the ladies' land speed record? In a four-wheeled car? It is a triumph for our British ladies that the British have held this record since 1906 at a speed of just 96 miles per hour.
And on that bombshell, back to the studio.